I have to say that I didn't really realize this was actually a thing and it was happening until like recently. And now that I've kind of noticed it, it does kind of bug me. I didn't think I was like, hey, this has happened to me quite a bit with Xbox, and now it's like very obvious kind of why this type of thing is happening, and I don't understand how the entirety of this generation can be, why this has kind of happened to the entirety of the generation, and Microsoft hasn't been able to fix any of this stuff. So yeah, it is a little bit disappointing for me when you see this, and I guess a lot of Xbox fans are speaking up about this. It's like Microsoft has intentionally paused making anything for Xbox and doing things for Xbox consoles themselves. It's like whenever you see anything Xbox related now, it's about how everything's in Xbox, or this is an Xbox, or your mom's an Xbox, or whatever the case may be. There's never anything realistically about how they're improving anything anymore. The last 3 quote-unquote Xbox updates have been things for everything but the consoles. Cloud gaming, the handheld platforms, and PC, but nothing for the actual Xbox themselves, which is like super unfortunate, because as a fan of the actual Xbox, it's really kind of a shame that that's kind of happening the way that it is. But this bit of information is kind of news to me. I guess you have to kind of read the small print to understand what's going on. There's nothing worse these days than sitting down to play your favorite game just to discover that it needs to install a massive update, especially if your internet happens to be slow or spotty. Mine can be that way at certain points in times, which is unfortunate. But this is a problem that causes all of us issues, no matter your chosen platform. But for Xbox users, its auto update feature leaves you with more questions than answers. As with the majority of platforms, users have the option to enable updates automatically, usually meaning that their installed games will automatically install any update when it's available. See, I have this turned on, and there's times when I want to go play a game and I'm like, what in the world is happening? Why can't I play my game? Why does it need this massive 75 gig install or whatever again, or update? That makes no sense. And you kind of get into the reasons behind that right now. And I checked on my thing, and it's like, oh, I've got 90 games that need updates, but it's not updating them. It's ridiculous, especially when you click that you want auto updates. It's a beneficial option to have auto updates, with many of us being unaware of any update patches until they've already been installed. However, when it comes to Xbox consoles, the small print has left players feeling frustrated on many occasions. Spotted by someone over on the Xbox forums, there's a reason why some of our installed titles do not receive automatic downloads. What is the purpose of automatic updates if games don't update automatically, they asked. It turns out that Xbox will only apply automatic updates to games that you've played in the past 28 days, whether it is installed or not. Discovering this when I had enough free time for the first time in over 2 months to get online. Despite having a setting that states it will update all my games turned on, every single game I tried to play required an update. Why would Microsoft restrict automatic updates to games that you've played only in the last month? It really explains the lack of updates. And again, like, you would think that Microsoft, who does Windows, where you can set updates, it could automatically update it in the middle of the night, right? Go through your list and update it, keep them up to date. That's a much easier way to do it, in my opinion, than kind of the way that it's happening now. It's kind of ridiculous, but yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I might understand the idea that it's pointless to update games you don't play, but with a terabyte or less of storage, it should be safe to assume that you play every game you have installed. Like for me, I have a tons of storage, and updates tend not to be too big when they're just like game updates. It's not like installing whole new games anymore. So it's a confusing piece of the small print, but one that many users were not actually aware of. It answers it for me too. I have auto updates turned on and things don't auto update. I was wondering why. However, for one person, the feature does make sense. Not to me, but one person says, but you don't play every game that you have installed, at least not once per month. The purpose is to minimize wait time on frequently used games apps without feeling overhead updated titles that are infrequently or never used. Now, here's the thing for me. There's been times where I had basically a new game, and I wanted to play it, and there is, some kind of issue with the update or whatever, and then it's like, oh, well, you can't play this game, you have to download the update or whatever the case may be. I think that's kind of a pain in the butt. It would still be nice to update everything, especially if it could just update overnight or whatever, and, I think that would be very beneficial. If you've wondered why Xbox games don't always update, there you go. I guess this is kind of news to me. I guess we're 5 years in, and I'm still finding out information about Xbox. But yeah, that to me kind of sounds pretty interesting, that these games are very much something that happens basically only to games that you've played recently, which is it's kind of ridiculous. I do feel that it's a little bit, I want to say, misleading, I guess, because games honestly can take all kinds of different times to kind of get out there. So I don't know, like I just realistically hope that they kind of get something and fix it and make something that can make people happy again. So again, we'll see if that continues to be the case. Maybe not, but Microsoft still has a long way to go if they want to kind of get things rolling in a direction that makes fans happy. And it's like, for me, I was on a forum recently and I made a comment about how it's pretty clear that Microsoft is offloading console fans to PC and other ways to game, like cloud gaming and things like that. And somebody made the comment, well, do you have any kind of facts to back that up? And I was like, listen, the facts are, if February of 2024, if I said Microsoft is going to put more than 4 games on PlayStation, you would have said the same thing. It's not trolling, it's factual. Like, everybody knew when they said just 4 games, no change to their exclusive strategy. Everybody knew at that point in time that there was going to be more games that were going to go elsewhere, right? Because you could look at the trajectory. And the same thing with their hardware, right? They raised the price on their hardware twice this past year. They didn't put any kind of discount on it for the holidays. They never advertise it. They never talk about it. They raised the price on Game Pass. They tried to raise the price on their games to $80. They're supposedly, even if they are coming out with new hardware next gen, it's just going to be a PC. The stuff that they promote is the handheld. The download, the updates and stuff for the past 3 updates have not included any improvements for their console whatsoever, because why would they waste time and effort on Xbox OS when everybody's just going to be running Windows next generation, according to them, So yeah, it's just like, in general, you kind of see how these things are kind of lining up, that they really don't care about the console. Whenever they talk about, they do advertising, it's like, I'm an Xboxer, and this is a controller, and this is how you control, an Xbox with your phone, or with this, or with this. It's like never really the console. It's all these other ways that people don't really care about gaming, and it's funny to me because people think, oh, well, Microsoft has all these extra users in it with Xbox and all this kind of stuff. They don't really, though, right? Like, when they talk about monthly active users using on Xbox, quote unquote, they're counting everybody that's on Candy Crush on a phone and, all that kind of stuff. So they're not really talking about just specifically Xbox users. So, to me, it's weird. They didn't do a wrap up, like, despite them doing like a Windows wrap up or an Edge Explorer wrap up. So, it is extremely weird to me that Xbox is like one of the only things to not get a wrap up. Like, banks were doing wrap ups for people. You know what I'm saying? I just, to me, it blows me away. It tells you either that there weren't enough people using Xbox this past year to warrant it, or they just don't care. And to me, I don't know, it just really seems like they don't particularly care, because at the end of the day, the way that they treat people, there's no like fan fest anymore. There's no nothing realistically. They just give the Xbox fans a cold shoulder, and it's like more than obvious that they don't really care about the fans. They don't care about the hardware. They're not giving anybody a reason to be excited about the hardware, which is a real shame. And just to me, it just feels just wrong. I don't know, it just feels wrong. And it's funny because you can like almost equate it to AI. Not saying, I mean, AI has cost Xbox a lot this generation, the pursuit of it, But also, like, when you look at AI's involvement with things, it's kind of soulless and lifeless. And at least with the Xbox One, it maybe didn't have a lot of great exclusives or anything, but there was heart to it. They really kind of interacted with the fans, and they were really kind of fan driven. And now it's like they don't care about the fans, they don't care about anything really except for AI, and it's a shame. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.